Greetings. Howdy. It's so nice to be here with you. Happy Sunday. If we haven't met before, my name is Kaylin, and every Sunday I set aside this time for a little meditation for us to gather together and do a little bit of spiritual work. So glad to share some space with you. It is a beautiful, beautiful Sunday here out near Washington, D.C. and Maryland. I mean, look at that. Oh, so pretty. Such a beautiful day. And I am honored to be sharing this space and time with you. Okay, so every week I try to pick a theme, something that I've been thinking about or something that's going on in my life. And last night I ended up teaching a meditation class that I thought would be fun to share with you all. Hey, welcome. And the theme of the class was this idea of how do we make life sparkle again? How do we recharge our senses? How do we find that sense of joy in life? Because one of the things that tends to happen as we get older, oh, you're very kind, thank you. One of the things that tends to happen when we get older is life loses its sparkle. So when we're young, everything's new and exciting, and we approach the world with a sense of awe and wonderment. And as we get older, things start to feel more and more uninteresting. Colors are less bright, images are less vivid, food tastes less good, touch feels less interesting, things lose their fragrance. I often could say, we see this experience happen in a very quick succession when we eat food. Like if you go and order your favorite dessert, like that first bite is, oh my God, it's so good. And the second bite is really fulfilling. And the third bite is really good. But by the time you get to like halfway through, hey, welcome. By the time you get halfway through the dessert, you've basically stopped tasting it. I know somebody who says they never take more than like 3 to 5 bites of any part of their dish, any part of their meal before going over to something else, because then it loses the flavor. And I think that's kind of the philosophy behind really high-end restaurants, that every course is only so big that so that you taste the whole thing. But our senses dull. Our senses lose their ability to receive information in the short term, like we just talked about with eating a dish, but it also happens in the long term, that as we age, our senses become less acute. And I don't know about you, but I really want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy the world I live in. I want to enjoy the beautiful sights I'm seeing and the people who are touching me, or my self-touch. I want to smell things and say, oh, that's wonderful. I don't want to become somebody who doesn't appreciate the beauty of this world. Now, fortunately, there is a technique used in meditation that helps remedy this. And it's a term called pratyahara, or withdrawal of senses. And the basic idea is this. If you were to take like a lint roller, and I'm sure we've all seen it, right? Like it's a sticky tape sort of thing, and you roll over an area that a cat has been sleeping, like my cat. That chair is usually covered in hair because that's her favorite chair. It eventually will stop picking up lint because it's saturated with fibers and hair and dust. But if you can clean all that off, or you strip it off and take a new level, it will become sticky again. Our senses work the same way. So the more we stimulate our senses, the less able they are to absorb information. The more we engage in sensual delights, which are wonderful and they're meant to be used, or they're there to be enjoyed, this life, this body is meant to be enjoyed, but the less pleasure it's able to accept. And I think one of the greatest joys of living is the experience of awe and wonderment. That you walk into a beautiful sunset or forest or beach or have a great meal, hey, welcome. And you go, oh, wow. Oh, wow. I think that is one of the most important skills we can have. Actually, I have a book. I don't know where I put it. I have a book that I'm reading right now that's on the topic of living with awe and cultivating that as a skill. So that's what I want us to work on today. We're going to work on withdrawing our senses so we can really take things in, find the pleasure, and then also experience that state of awe. So, welcome. So happy to be here with you. Please get comfortable if you want to sit in a chair, or sit on the floor, or lie down, or do a handstand, whatever makes you comfortable. Get cozy. Now, traditionally, meditation is done either with hands on your lap, or you can do a mudra on your knees, or whatever you'd like. And we're going to start by just taking a few deep breaths. I'm glad. Thank you. Honored to help. So as we're beginning today and you are watching yourself breathe, sometimes we rush into wanting to breathe deeper and do a full diaphragmatic breath. Don't worry about that, please. Today, accept yourself where you are. Allow yourself to breathe however your body wants to breathe. No judgment. Notice your posture. Like ideally we want a nice erect spine, tall posture. But if you find yourself slumped over, that's okay, right? Just awareness of where we are. Just like ideally we have a belly breath, a deep abdominal breath, but if that's not what you have today, that's okay. It's just not what you have. And as you breathe, I invite you to feel the sense of softening. And what I mean by softening is a sense of letting go, that you feel things starting to release. Your shoulders, your neck, your chest, your belly, your face. But it's also an internal quality that we bring our juicy self, our soft self, our supple self. We soften. And yes, you can pet your chest hair if that helps. We soften. And then, without too much effort, if you want to invite your breath to deepen, or you want to invite your spine to lengthen so that you're sitting taller, you may, but don't let it come from a place of forcing it. It's a very gentle nudge. It's an invitation to your body to shift. And then I want you to just begin to observe what it is you are sensing. So let's start with sight. If your eyes are open, just start to notice, what are you seeing? The colors, the shapes, the lines, the patterns, the depth, the movement, if there's movement. What are your eyes taking in? Really see what is before you, because so often we look without actually seeing. truly see what is before you. And then let's do the same with sound. Maybe close your eyes for this. What is it you hear? Maybe you hear someone in the next room, like my husband's making chili for us right now. I can hear him cooking. I can hear the wind outside because the window is open. Birds chirping. I can hear the air vent, the subtle creak of the house. I can hear my own breath. What do you hear? And then let's also go to smell. This one can be a little bit harder. We tend to acclimatize to the space we're in, so you may not smell much. If you need to, maybe smell your skin. Well, that I smell. Smell a plant nearby. It's one of the things I enjoy when I meditate is many times I'll light incense, and you light it as an offering. Incense is considered a very uplifting quality because it literally ascends. Right? The fire burns the stick, and as it does so, it rises up, like our consciousness. But it's one of the nice side effects is it smells really good. How about taste? So for this one, if you're so inclined, feel free to taste something in the room. That's a plant. Maybe you just taste your own saliva. What does your mouth taste like? That's fine too. And also touch. So you can give yourself some touch if you'd like, or just notice the feeling of what's on your skin right now. Do you feel wind on your skin? The breeze? Do you notice if you're wearing clothes, how the clothes interact with your body? You can give yourself a little massage if that feels nice. Notice the sensations you have in your body. Maybe you feel pain somewhere, maybe you feel pleasure somewhere. Notice how moving your body in a different position might change how you experience tactile sensation. By the way, if you hear me making those little weird noises, sometimes when I meditate or I feel like I'm letting go, my body will start to like burp. It's a thing I've come to recognize as myself telling myself, oh good, you're tapping into something, you're letting go of something. Like that. So we've checked in with all of our senses. We've become more keenly aware of what are they doing. Now I'm going to ask you to do something with them. I'm going to ask you to fold your senses and place them into your heart, into the very center of your chest, Anahata chakra it's called. So, right here. Oh, thank you, Rico. I really appreciate that. I come into your house and insult you too. Blessings to you, my friend. Fold them into your heart. So you can close your eyes and bring your internal gaze to your heart. You can take your sense of sound and listen for your heart. Breathe. Take your sense of taste, bring it to your heart. Take all of your external senses and bring them into the very center point of your chest. Let your heart become your entire world. And when we do this, when we pull our senses within, we give our senses an opportunity to recharge. Keep with it. I know it's not easy. Okay, and then let that go. Come on back to this space. So, practicing this skill of pratyahara, of turning the senses within, is something that is, I think, challenging for most of us because we don't live in a self-reflective world. When these teachings were developed thousands of years ago, there was no phones, no TV, no internet, no cell phones. You had your goats, you had your crops, you had your neighbors, maybe your children, and that was about it. So learning to just, quiet and turn your focus within became a lot easier. It's much easier without all of these technological distractions to be able to say, oh, I'm just gonna focus on my heart. I'm gonna focus on my breath. I notice in myself, the more that technology has accelerated just within my lifespan, even just in the last couple of years, it becomes harder and harder to totally tune out from the world, but therefore also more necessary. Now, practicing pratyahara, practicing this, turning the senses within, is just a tool. It is not a supreme tool. It is not the most important tool in our toolkit. In fact, I would argue that the most supreme meditation we can achieve is active non-doership, that we aren't actually meditating, we're letting meditation happen. So we just enter this state where we are doing nothing, and that quality of internal connection and peace arises within us. It takes a lot of work to get to that point, so that's why we have these tools to get us to that. But one of the other ways that we can approach opening our senses to joy, opening our senses to pleasure more, is through the active construction of awe. So we learn this skill set of turning your focus and pouring them into the heart, all of your senses. The other side of that is to open up the senses and to really witness everything before you with awe. Now, I have, I think I said this earlier. I have a beautiful view outside my window while I teach with you, so it's very easy for me to like look at something and just experience awe. Many of you probably are not sitting with a gorgeous forest outside your window, but we all have something in our immediate vicinity that we can appreciate with awe. That might be an apple. It might be a plant. I recommend something organic rather than something man-made because there is a greater depth of detail most of the time in something natural. Though with AI-generated images now, that line between what is natural and what is man-made is very hard to discern. But if nothing else, use your palms. Your palms can be a great thing to stare at. So I want you to pick a focal point, something that you're looking at. And I want you to appreciate everything that went into bringing this object, this thing, into existence. So for me right now, I'm looking at this little cluster of poplar trees right outside. They're probably about almost 3 stories tall right now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them growing out of the same root structure. And I notice the quality of their bark, the knots where the branches lower down have been trimmed or fell. I notice how many billions, maybe even trillions of cells have gone into making this plant. I observe how much rainwater has gone to nourish those cells. I look at the pattern in which they have grown. I think of how different parts of the tree must coordinate, that right now it's starting to bud and about to bloom. Hey, welcome. And how interesting that process is, that these plants can pull all their sap, their energy down into the roots to survive the winter and then rise back up to bloom and then grow even more. Like, when I slow down and observe the amazingness that is this cluster of trees, so maybe it's just one tree outside my window, it's like, gosh, wow, that's fucking amazing. I mean, look at your hands. Do the same thing with your hands. Look at the patterns in the skin. Both the big lines and the tiny, tiny little lines that make up the texture of your skin. Notice the variation in color. Notice the veins you can maybe see under the surface, the little pads of calluses from manual labor or writing or working out. Notice as you touch your skin how there's a tactile sensation to it, how you can feel it. Notice the bones and how they articulate, and how amazing it is that with just merely a thought, I can move them. Like, whoa, I can move this by thinking. Notice the structure of your nails and how they protect your fingertips. Notice if you've got like a little cut, how it's repairing itself. It hasn't killed you, you haven't bled out, but that your body knows how to take care of that. Notice the length and the shape and how they grew, and they grew from a single cell. These hands grew from a single cell. How crazy is that? I mean, could you take a single thing and multiply it and multiply it and multiply it to make a huge body that does all these amazing things? Look how I can put my fingers together to make a spade for digging in the earth. Or I can separate them and I can grab onto something. I've got a thumb. How amazing are thumbs? If we didn't have thumbs, we couldn't do all the things that we do. We can't write, we can't text, we wouldn't have evolved, right? My dog doesn't have a thumb. He wishes he had a thumb. Like, how amazing is that? Observe with awe. One of my favorite ones to do is, and I'm sure most of us have one nearby, is to look at a sidewalk. Like, we take sidewalks for granted. They're just there. We're walking on them. Sometimes they're in good repair, sometimes they're not. But think of the fact that that stone for the sidewalk had to be mined from the ground somewhere. Probably not local, somewhere. big machines, lots of men and maybe women had to go and chisel it out of the earth. And then that stone had to be transported and then ground down into dust and into smaller pieces and then mixed with other components to make the concrete that then somebody took a big machine and poured, and people had to come and level and divide up into sections and cure, and there had to be scientists who knew how to make the right concrete so that it would survive, and that it is there for you to walk on. How many hours, how many people, how many resources went into something so simple as making a sidewalk for you? And having once tried to lay a concrete slab, I can tell you how difficult it is to make it nice and even. And look, you know, everywhere you walk, they're just flat and square, and it's like, how did they do that? It's fucking amazing. We take for granted all these things in our life. I mean, I just like look at my room. I don't sit here every day and think of like, wow, this cabinet, somebody carved this from trees that grew. This plant, how long has it been growing now? I mean, I've had it for probably 3 years, 4 years. But how long has this lived to make that? My bench over there, my chair, like all of this. If you said, I'll give you the money, you go make from scratch everything in this room, I couldn't do it. I couldn't cut down the trees and shear the wool for that hanging thing, or grind up the sand to make the glass for the picture frames, or the brass for the sculptures, or the paper for the books I wrote. I would be unable to do any of that. But how many of us take for granted everything that life gives us? That we just assume it will always be there. I can just go to the store, I can call somebody to make something, and it will be taken care of. How much awe are you living with? Because we are surrounded by things that should make us pause and weep with awe and wonderment. Your phones, as much as I deride them and hate them, they're amazing. Your grandparents, when they were young, could never have even conceived that you would be able to do all the things that you can do with your phones. It would have seemed like science fiction. And we take it for granted every single day. Every single day. Even 25 years ago, you know how cool it would have been to have this tiny little slim device that could take a picture and show it to you on a big screen instantly, and that you could edit it on that device? Like, that would have been obscene. By doing this, we cultivate a life that sparkles. By being aware of how are we using our senses, giving them a pause, letting them recharge through meditation and turning our focus within. By, when we engage with the world, pausing to appreciate the magnificence that is before us. Because every one of us, and I don't care where you live, and I see people saying hi from Brazil and Indonesia and the US, I don't care where you live, there is something to be grateful for, to experience awe for. We are living in a magical, wonderful world. If only we pause to appreciate it. Unfortunately, we live at a time in a culture where people don't remind us of this. Where we turn on social media, we turn on the news, and all people are angry, are bitter, are feeling like they don't have enough, that something has been taken from them. When in fact, we are all so immensely blessed. You go back 200 years, you have more than the richest king or prince or princess or emperor would have had. You do, you have more than them. I mean, this alone, they would have given everything they had for. And yet we're ungrateful. And yet we're jaded. And yet we think the world is a unfulfilling place. I don't know what you want, but I want to live with awe and wonderment and joy in this world. I want to relish this gift of life I've been given. I want to approach each day with joy with a childlike sense of wonder. I want my senses to feel fresh and exuberant so I can enjoy that tea or that cookie or that massage or that incense or that loving gaze from my partner. I want to wake up each day with a sense of, yes, I get to live today. Which I remember feeling so keenly when I was young. And it's taken more time to cultivate as I've gotten older, because I think for many of us, we've had our hearts broken so many times. We've been disappointed so many times. But I think it's one of the greatest signs of success in life. Not that we avoid the disappointment, not that we avoid the heartbreak, because those are important things. They teach us a lot. But even having experienced despair, can we still dance enthusiastically? Can we still shout to the wild moon, yes? Can we live a life of gratitude, ecstasy, joy, exuberance, awe? That's how I wish to live. I wish to live a sacred life. And that's what I mean by sacred. Something where I see the divinity in everything. I wish to live with awe and wonderment. I'm gonna turn, if I can, the camera right now. I have to hold it, I think. Look at this amazing world. Look at this life we've been given. Can you stop to appreciate it? Can you appreciate everything you have? Sorry if I got a little preachy tonight, but that's where I'm at right now. Because I think these skills do take cultivation, and it does take reflection to create them. So, take a breath. Take a pause. Let everything go. And feel gratitude for this amazing life you have. Because it is amazing. So much love for you, so many blessings. Thank you for taking time out of your busy life to come join me today. May you be well, may you be whole, may you be filled with joy. May you dwell in possibilities. May you have excellent health, vibrancy, peace. May you dance ecstatically under the wild moon. May you take off all your clothes and feel juicy and alive. May you know your truth. May you know your wealth. May you know your power. May you feel yourself as a radiant being of love and light and joy. May you know your truth. This is my blessing and my wish for you. So much gratitude for you all. It is such an honor to have this space to share with you. I'm so grateful to have people who take time out of their day to sit and do some of this work. I really want to get something scheduled for some in-person workshops and retreats. So if that's something you would like, it's helpful for me to know. Feel free to always drop me a message or comment. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in attending. If you ever have any requests for an edited video or a live meditation topic, please don't hesitate to let me know. Things are continuing to be very busy right now with us relocating into Washington, D.C. in the coming weeks. I am going to miss this beautiful connection to nature right outside my window, but I will celebrate the ease in finding in-person connections by living in a city again and having wonderful places to walk and places to walk to. So I'm really looking forward to that transition, but I will miss having this retreat in the wilderness and nature. But hopefully we'll be able to get a weekend home retreat center going in the next couple of years, so we can experience that again. Anyhow, I hope you're well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your interaction. It's always nice to see your comments pop up. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day, week, weekend, whenever you're watching this. Blessings to you all. Bye, guys.